Don't come to the wedding, Dad, please. I'm begging you. If you come, I'll cut ties with you as a father, rejected from attending my daughter Emily's wedding. I felt deeply hurt. Emily's harsh words keep echoing in my head. I've been betrayed by my family again. My name is Jack, 44 years old. My wife's name was Jennifer. She would have been 42 if she were still alive. It's not that she died or anything. She went missing 10 years ago. So I just say if she were alive when I mention her. Jennifer! And I had one daughter, Emily, now 20 years old. After graduating from high school, she moved out to live on her own. Jennifer disappeared when Emily was in 4th grade. She left without leaving a single note. I thought she might have gotten involved in some incident and reported her missing to the police, but there's been no word at all. At first, Emily was deeply saddened by her mother's absence, but one day she seemed to have come to terms with it. Dad, even without Mom, let's do our best together, she said. Her brave words made me, a father, burst into tears. I only told my parents in the countryside that Jennifer was gone. My father was silent, and my mother was exasperated, saying, "See, I told you so." There was a reason why my parents were so cold to me. In my despair, my hometown is in rural Nebraska. We're farmers, known locally as a wealthy family. I met Jennifer while attending a university in New York and fell deeply in love with her, dropping out to marry her. Luckily, I got a job in New York, and once things looked stable for Jennifer and me, we went to my hometown to formally register our marriage. When my father saw Jennifer, he didn't say a word and went back inside, while my mother looked at us with an indescribable expression. "Dad, that's rude to Jennifer," I said. "Mom, you think so too, right?" When Jennifer wasn't around, and I was alone with Mom, I mentioned Jennifer, but she opposed the marriage. "Jack, don't marry that girl. She's not the right one for you. Jennifer will betray you. You'll just get hurt at their groundless accusations." I returned to New York with Jennifer and registered our marriage. It was almost like coping. When we visited my parents, Jennifer was already pregnant with Emily, making it a shotgun wedding. In hindsight, my parents couldn't have been happy about me dropping out of university and having a shotgun wedding with a woman they didn't know. But Jennifer and I, driven by youth, were happy. Emily was born safely, and even though we were poor, we lived modestly as a family of 3. With my salary alone insufficient, Jennifer also started working part-time. Initially, she worked day shifts, but then she started working as a hostess in a bar for better pay. Already beautiful, Jennifer became even more glamorous and appealing to men after becoming a night worker. I resented this change, but blamed my poor earnings and worked hard at my job. Emily, growing up and attending kindergarten and then elementary school, seemed to realize our family was different. Still, I desperately wanted to protect our 3-person family. Feeling betrayed by my parents who opposed our marriage, I couldn't let go of that resentment. Then Jennifer disappeared. After she was gone, I did everything to raise Emily on my own. I couldn't leave young Emily alone, so I avoided overtime and working on holidays as much as possible. The company sympathized with me, but they weren't a charity. Unable to comply with the company's demands, they eventually suggested I resign voluntarily. As a 34-year-old single father, I couldn't afford to leave my job. Who would hire a middle-aged man with a child? Despite my resistance, I was laid off under the guise of downsizing. This feels just like a movie I saw on TV a long time ago. Sitting in the park during the day, opening a can of beer, I grumbled to myself. The movie, starring Dustin Hoffman, was about a man whose wife left him, raising their child alone and then losing his job. The ending, if I remember correctly, was that the wife who ran away remarried, taking the son away from the protagonist. Shaking off these unpleasant thoughts, I started looking for a job again. Despite being laid off, as the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens, and I found a new job 2 months later. It was a smaller company with a lower salary, but it was better than being unemployed. So I endured working every day, even though I was often yelled at by my younger colleagues. Back when Jennifer was around, she made good money as a hostess, allowing Emily to live quite lavishly. But after she started living with me, we had to live frugally. Becoming poor and being teased about it at school, Emily began to rebel against me. "Dad, why are we so poor? It's embarrassing. I don't even want to go to school," she confided. I comforted and persuaded Emily, who was in tears, to go to school somehow. But one day, after seeing how tired I was from work, and yet still trying hard, Emily stopped rebelling against me. "Let's do our best, even without Mom." Her bright attitude was a saving grace for me. The neighbours, perhaps feeling sympathetic towards a father and daughter living alone, took care of us in various ways, whether it was dinner or clothes for Emily. Some people were kind enough to help. One of them was a woman named Ashley who lived in the same apartment. She was the same age as me, 34, single, and worked at a government office. By a strange twist of fate, her father was from Nebraska just like me, and he was a senior in middle school to my father. It's really strange, such a coincidence in this big city of New York, Ashley said, and took care of Emily without asking for anything in return. It's embarrassing to say, but Emily is a girl. Naturally, there are things about girls' underwear that a man wouldn't understand. When I confided this to Ashley, she laughed and said, "It's okay. It must be hard for a man," and kindly gave advice. What surprised me the most was when Ashley mentioned that they went shopping for Emily's bra. I was so surprised. I asked Ashley, "Has Emily grown up that much?" And she casually replied, "Yes, the growth of a girl is fast, Jack. You might be a grandfather before you know it." Ashley laughed as she said this, and I jokingly replied, "Please don't scare me like that." I truly believed Emily was growing up bright and honest. But there was one time when Emily really shocked me. It was when she was in middle school. We were barely making ends meet, and I was struggling to gather enough money for Emily's school trip. Considering pawning the wedding ring I had with Jennifer, when I was deep in thought, Emily came up and asked me what was wrong. Not wanting to burden Emily with unnecessary worries, I simply told her that I was considering pawning our wedding ring. I thought she would object, but her response was unexpected. "Why not pawn it?" she asked. Choked, I explained it was a memento of her mother and me. Emily picked up the ring and asked, "What is this, Dad?" I said it was a ring filled with memories of her mother, and Emily replied, "No, it's just an object. Objects can all be turned into money." Her harsh view left me speechless, and realizing my reaction, she smiled and said, "You're right. It's a ring filled with memories of Mom, so we should treasure it." Emily's smile reminded me of Jennifer's. When Emily started high school, she expressed a desire to get a part-time job. Apparently, she wanted to help with our household finances. As her father, I wanted Emily to focus on her studies and extracurricular activities. I never imagined asking my daughter, in the prime of her youth, to help support our family financially. Yet Emily insisted on getting a part-time job. When I asked if there was something she wanted to buy, she bravely answered that there wasn't anything in particular. She just wanted to help with the household expenses. I allowed Emily to take a part-time job on the condition that she continued to excel in her studies. "Thank you, Dad," she said, hugging me. It had been years since she had done that, and I felt a bit of ease. True to her promise, Emily was an honour student at school and worked part-time whenever she had free time. It seems she was working as a waitress at a family restaurant. As a high schooler, Emily, who resembled her mother Jennifer, began to exude an adult allure. She learned to apply makeup and slowly started dressing more flamboyantly, which led me to express my concerns. I was worried because it reminded me of how Jennifer gradually transformed into a nighttime entertainer. Emily listened to me and stopped wearing heavy makeup and flashy fashion, which relieved me, but I still had some doubts. It was because of the perfume she wore, the same scent Jennifer used to wear. I wondered if she was changing her clothes and doing her makeup outside the house. Even if she changed before coming home, the perfume scent would linger. I felt betrayed by my own family. There should be no lies within a family. Family members must trust each other. Thus, I dismissed my suspicions about Emily. The time I spent with Emily gradually decreased. Emily spent her holidays immersed in part-time work. I felt a touch of loneliness as she was even away from home during Christmas and New Year's. When I confided this to Ashley, she comforted me, saying, "She's a girl. She has her social life. But Emily is a good girl." Being a father can be lonely, I thought. All I could do for my only family, Emily, was to leave her as much money as possible after I'm gone. So I put more effort into my work. Emily graduated from high school without any trouble. I encouraged her to pursue higher education, but she gently declined, saying it wasn't necessary. I truly felt like an inadequate father. Emily got a job as an office worker at a small company. Although it was a small company, it was part of a well-known corporate group, making it quite an achievement for a high school graduate to get a job there. People asked if I had connections, but being without any, I could only say we were lucky. Emily started living alone in an apartment close to her workplace. I asked to visit once, but she refused. I figured she didn't want her father invading her territory. Living alone in my apartment, I led a solitary life. All I could think about was how to leave as much money as possible for Emily. Then one day I received a text from Emily. She had found someone she loved and was going to get married. That was all it said. Shocked, I called her, and she confirmed what was in the text. I bombarded her with questions. What kind of man is he? I'd like to meet him. What about the wedding? Her answers were evasive. He's a good person, so don't worry. The wedding will be simple. You don't need to come, she insisted. But the groom's family will be there, right? They might find it strange if I'm not there. I should attend the wedding. To this, Emily started to get irritated. Anyway, Dad, don't come to the wedding. I'm begging you. If you do, I'll cut ties with you as a parent and child. Emily said that and hung up the phone. I was confused but had no choice but to accept it. Noticing my dejected state, Ashley, aware of my distress, urged me to talk about it. Unable to do so, the day of the wedding arrived. Despite being told not to attend, I still wanted to sneak a glimpse of Emily's groom. So, I secretly made my way to the wedding venue. I learned of the venue due to a mix-up, receiving a call from the venue staff. As I peeked into the hall, I saw Emily dressed in a pure white wedding gown, happily talking with a tall, gentle-looking young man. That must be the man who would become Emily's husband, and he seemed sincere and trustworthy. I felt relieved. Suddenly, Emily turned and beckoned someone. A man and woman of the same age as me appeared. It was a missing Jennifer and a man I didn't recognize. Why is Jennifer here? Who is the man beside her? And why is Emily behaving as if it's normal for Jennifer to be here? Questions flooded my mind. Hiding behind a pillar, I strained my ears and heard Emily's voice. "This is my mom, and this is my dad. Look, she is beautiful, isn't she?" "Yeah, I am surprised. Your mom, sure, but what does your dad do?" My dad's soon-to-be husband asked curiously. How should I put it? Kind of like the difference between a new laptop and an old laptop, you know. Inside, I retorted at her analogy, but Jennifer looked resolved. "Long time no see, Jack. I hear you're still poor," Emily told me. She mocked me, and Emily joined in. "I've been patient, but I'll say it now. I hate being poor. I was ridiculed at school for it, so I went along with Mum's plan. Dad, or should I say former dad, came from a wealthy family. I'm waiting for the day a huge inheritance falls into my lap. To me, you were nothing more than that. In contrast, my new dad is wealthy. I love him. He gave me lots of presents for my birthday and Christmas. His connections got me my current job. I felt nothing upon hearing this. All I thought was not to leave her a single penny of my assets. In the silence, a man yelled out, "Emily, what do you think parents are for?" It was Emily's would-be husband. My family was poor too, raised by a single dad. I never resented him. He loved me. And you're here saying you hate being poor and love the wealthy. That's the lowest. I decided to approach Jennifer and Emily for a final goodbye. "Congratulations on your wedding, Emily." "I won't see you again," I said. Jennifer and Emily froze upon seeing me, and Jennifer's affair partner asked curiously, "Emily, who is this? He looks like you." Jennifer replied, "Emily's soon-to-be husband." Then I finally began to grasp the situation. So that's how it was. Don't come to the wedding, Dad. I'll cut ties if you do. Being refused to attend my daughter Emily's wedding ceremony, her cold words echoed repeatedly in my mind. I was betrayed by my family again. Jennifer didn't just disappear, from the words about eloping. With a husband, it became clear to me that Jennifer had run away with her lover. Emily's sudden change of mood the day she became resolute must have been because she was in contact with Jennifer, and I was deceived all this time, just like the ending of that Dustin Hoffman movie I saw long ago. I decided to approach Jennifer and Emily for a final goodbye. "Congratulations on your wedding, Emily." "I won't see you again," I said. Jennifer and Emily froze upon seeing me. Jennifer's affair partner, Emily, asked curiously, "Who is this? He looks like you." How should I put it? Kind of like the difference between a new laptop and an old laptop, you know. I retorted at her analogy. But Jennifer looked resolved. "Long time no see, Jack. I hear you're still poor," Emily told me, mocking me. Emily joined in. "I've been patient, but I'll say it now. I hate being poor. I was ridiculed at school for it, so I went along with my dad's plan. Dad, or should I say former dad, came from a wealthy family. I'm waiting for the day a huge inheritance falls into my lap. To me, you were nothing more than that. In contrast, my new dad is wealthy. I love him. He gave me lots of presents for my birthday and Christmas. His connections got me my current job." I felt nothing upon hearing this. All I thought was not to leave her a single penny of my assets. In the silence, a man yelled out, "Emily, what do you think parents are for?" It was Emily's would-be husband. My family was poor too, raised by a single dad. I never resented him. He loved me. And you're here saying you hate being poor and love the wealthy. That's the lowest. "I won't marry you." He left after his declaration. Jennifer and Emily panicked. Jennifer ran after Emily's former fiancé. Emily came to me. Sorry, it was just a joke. Let's make up. Our family feud ends here, she continued. Please, hey Dad, go calm him down, please, she pleaded. I ignored her. I had an important business meeting to attend. Outside the venue, a luxury car was parked, and Ashley said from inside, "Is the greeting done? Because it's almost time." I just said I understood and got into the car. Emily looked puzzled and asked me what it meant. I explained the situation, thinking about leaving as much money as possible for Emily. I reconciled with my parents after she left home, and I had to ask my parents for a favor to help me start up a company after you left. Ashley and I started dating. Ashley used to be an illustrator as a hobby, so we set up an advertising company together. I'm the president, and she draws. It was a huge hit, especially with corporations. In just 2 years, we experienced rapid growth. Now our annual turnover has reached $1 million. Emily's eyes widened. In a completely different tone, she said with a smirk, "Now, Daddy, I love you." Emily contorted her body. It was the first time I found my own daughter repulsive. Silently, I closed the car door and headed to the hotel where my business partner was waiting. Ashley and I sat side by side in the back seat of the car. Wasn't there a movie with Dustin Hoffman that had an ending like this? Ashley asked. Yeah, The Graduate, where he steals the bride from the wedding and runs away, I replied. Kramer versus Kramer, and now The Graduate. Seems I have a connection with Dustin Hoffman, I said with a wry smile. Half a year later, after all these events, Jennifer and Emily wanted to meet. I refused, but they came to the company and I couldn't escape. We talked for just 5 minutes in the president's office. 2 women heavily made up, wearing flashy clothes and reeking of perfume, entered the president's office. It was Jennifer and Emily. They were running a small bar together, a dingy one at that. Apparently, Jennifer's affair partner messed up at work and got fired. He's the same age as me now, unemployed. Jennifer, still legally married to me, said she wanted to start over. I also asked Jennifer, divorce. I'm going to officially remarry Ashley. This is the perfect opportunity for that, I said. Emily retorted, Dad, how could you have an affair with a woman like Ashley while Mom is still here? You womanizer. How far gone is she? When I ignored her, she said, Hey, forget about Mom. Just help me out. Isn't it just us, parent and child? Emily was rotten to the core. When I gave Ashley a look, she whispered, I'm carrying Jack's daughter in my womb, so she'll be my little sister. Let her call me Big Sister. Emily was deeply unsettling. I called the security guards to escort them out of the president's office. Ashley safely gave birth to a daughter later. The doctors were amazed that she safely delivered despite it being a late pregnancy. I petitioned the family court to disinherit Emily. It's called disinheritance, Ashley said. It wasn't necessary, but I couldn't stand Emily's rotten character. As I looked at my daughter's sleeping face, pondering if it was my fault that Emily turned out that way, I reflected. My daughter's name is Michelle. I hope she will cover my painful memories with her existence.